With your indulgence, I would like to go back, because I made a note here, to the previous minutes and make an amendment, and it's on top of page 6/4. Mayor Rick advised that portaloos had been ordered, fencing could be arranged, and a reserve such as Riverside Park, and I want that struck out, please. I didn't say that, I said Kaimanawa Street Reserve. Can we have that changed, please? Oh, yeah, no, previous minutes, 6/4, second line. It's on 6/4. Thank you. Right, that's got Rugby World Cup out of the way. Now, I've got about 4 items here in a row that I believe that we should have read them, and if we've read them, we could basically take them as read. We'll start with item number 7. Scott and Gareth were going to talk to this, and I think it would be just as easy for Gareth to sit there in the interest of saving time, and you don't have to do this, and take questions, because I know Councillor Smiley Kraswaski's got one over here.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I'd just like to signal my intention to, as the current champion of walking and cycling for the district, to move this item. And I would very much appreciate it if my fellow councillors, I know it's an unbudgeted item, but if my fellow councillors were to approve this in the interest of tourism.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Eve Huggins shown her intention to second it, and I'm sure we're all extremely in favour of it. For those people who are watching webcam perhaps, or in the back of the room, what this item actually is a development contribution that normally has to be paid by developers when they do something. This is the Lake Taupo Cycleway that Bike Taupo are building, and their application is to offset the development contribution they owe of $2,955, because I think we all support Taupo as a biking and a health option, and they are an advocate club that we are going to put it to the vote, and I'm sure it's going to be moved unanimously that their development contribution application is approved. All in favour?
Aye.
Carried. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The next item in the agenda is an application to lease a part of the Turahonga Forest, which the council owns. Mr. Menhennet, I've got you, and I've got... No, you. Okay, Mr. Menhennet is going to take questions if you have any questions or discussions. Otherwise, we can take it as an read item, or if you have something you'd like to ask a question about. Councillor McKelvey.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Menhennet, on page 8/1, under financial considerations, Clearwater Hydro Limited is obviously a company, and the purpose of this is to profit from its endeavour. How do you charge a market rental in terms of the process? Is it the normal way of getting the company to provide their value on it and us to provide another? Because it's just this sort of thing doesn't come up very often.
No, we'll just get them to come up with their value and we'll double it.
Fair enough.
Because we're business people. Well answered, Mr. Menhennet.
Right, yes. We've got to wait till the council agrees to the lease first.
If we agree to lease it as a council, we're agreeing to allow our senior financial staff and CEO to negotiate the terms and conditions.
Thank you. Thank you.
Councillor Welch.
I'm more than happy to go along with the idea of agreeing in principle to the granting of a lease, because we've since learnt since this was first put up that it won't affect our Turahonga water supply, and it will not compromise any of the forestry operations if the report from our forestry advisors is indicated in the report by the forestry advisors. So I'm happy to move this suggested resolution.
Okay, Councillor Gathergood wishing to second. And do you wish to talk to your seconding it? And seconded by Councillor Gathergood. Question, Councillor Downer?
There's certainly nothing attached in the agenda about that, but
surely that would require resource consent and
it would need a resource consent probably on a small scale like this. It'd still be an assessment of environmental effects, and so it would be subject.
The concern is that something like this is in here. We're part of leasing out a piece of land for a year, becoming a part of the jigsaw puzzle, yet we've given nothing of the effects on that into the stream. You know, I don't want to be party to say, yes, give this hydro a lease, and be party to the fact that it could affect environment impacts on that stream.
Okay, I think you've raised a very good point there, Councillor Downer, but I think we have to go through the resource process. Councillor Ormsby's got his hand up, and I think it's what he's going to say.
Mayor, if you're exactly correct, this is EW. They would have to apply to EW for a resource consent to build it, but however, there's not much sense in them applying for a resource consent if they can't lease the land.
Correct. Okay, Councillor McCully.
I'm just making a point that we're only granting it in principle. It's got to go through the process of RMA and subject to that.
Okay, I had a mover in Councillor Welch, I think it was, and a seconder in Councillor Gathergood. All in favour? Aye. So moved. The next one, we don't like people on webcam think we're not doing our job properly. A lot of these we have to take as read. We've done a lot of work into Destination Lake Taupo, exempting it from becoming a council-controlled organisation. We've gone through the process of... sorry?
No, this is it.
Oh, this is the... Yeah, okay.
This is the company.
The company, yeah.
The actual company.
Yeah, okay, it's mechanical. Councillor McCully, is that a mover?
I'd be happy to move it because it is a mechanical item as I see it. Happy to move.
Happy to second.
Secondly, Councillor Koswowski.
So this will be one of those opportunities for us to no longer have to have it subject to an audit.
That's correct. We're protecting the name and we're reducing the cost of going through audit processes.
And this council loves saving costs, Mr Van Henner. Okay, all in favour?
Aye.
Carried. Now the next one is the same thing. It's Data Capture Systems Limited, which was a company which hasn't operated in this triennium. So I do believe, though, we discussed this once before, that this company had some tax losses could be taken advantage of. Are we doing that?
They can only be... We don't have a need for the tax losses ourselves, but for the continuity rules, there has to be an 80% common shareholding between the company who makes use of the tax losses and the data capture.
So is there any possibility in the future, if my memory serves me right, this company had $200,000 or $300,000 worth of tax losses? I don't want to split straws over how much. Is there any light at the end of the tunnel that we're ever going to be able to find some sort of partnership to be able to use these tax losses to our advantage?
I'm sure that there will be opportunities in the future.
Good. We're searching for them?
On the basis that we have deferred our role as a property developer, that is actually reduced one of our avenues to maximise the tax loss, but I'm sure that we'll come up with some other way down the track.
Okay. Any further questions discussed? Councillor Uvehagen's moving. Second to Councillor Ormsby. All in favour?
Aye.
Done. Carried. Thank you. Okay, moving to item number 11, which is the adoption of Council Business Plan. Ms McLeod.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. This is an item that we do this time every year. Basically, you passed your annual plan in June, and what we do then is pull out some of the larger projects which we know that you want to keep an eye on a regular basis, i.e. monthly, to report against in your monthly council meeting in terms of how well you're progressing against the milestones. This doesn't mean to say that we don't report into you about the rest of the annual plan. You do that on a quarterly basis, and then obviously at the end of the year. But these are just the big ticket items. So the item here is just basically setting out a schedule of what the projects are that we've pulled out, and the key dates for the milestones related to those projects.
Okay, I'll open up for questions. Councillor Downard.
I just struggle with this during the election year because there could be new councillors, different organisations formed, committees and stuff like that. So the timing on election year.
Comment on that. Your annual plan you actually set in June anyway, so this is actually simply a reflection of that. So regardless of the new council coming in, that is the annual plan that they are working with for the next financial year.
Can I, Chair, just to perhaps allay Councillor Downard's fears, on page 4 there is actually a report provision for in the business plan for a post-election governance project, which would be an opportunity for the incoming council to look at governance, and it's scheduled for scheduled in there somewhere. Yeah, November
and March.
Right.
If I could speak to that particular project, obviously when a new council gets formed, one of the things that you do is look at both your delegations and committee structure. You also look at your code of conduct. There's various processes that you need to go through. That project is about doing those things and giving you a broad outline of the dates associated with it.
Okay, Councillor Fagan.
Mayor Rick, I'd be happy to move that item and that resolution. I think
Okay.
that it just
And the
going
suggested
forward.
resolution is?
Before you do,
Yes.
before you do, Your Worship, on page 11 bar 3, query, develop the Turangi and Southern Lakeshore Settlement Structure Plan.
Yep.
It's got council workshop. I thought the workshop was R&H and the TT Community Board. Or have I
Will
got
be.
that wrong?
Okay, can we have that, treat that as an amendment, please, Mr Morrell?
Thank you.
And Councillor McCoy?
Yes, I'd just be interested to ask Ms McLeod, and first of all to congratulate you on the way in which you're able to get this into such a succinct presentation for us. Thank you. But what sort of criteria do you use for less important projects that drop off the end? What's your sort of standard of inclusion in this business plan? Is it a monetary amount or is it something else?
If I can direct you to the first page of the report, you'll see under there that we've set out the criteria that we've used for selecting key projects. The first is obviously projects with a high capex, so minimum of 500,000. Projects with high political interest and or involvement, and that involvement one is quite important because you need to be mapping out your year in terms of the types of things that are coming along to council meetings or to council workshops. Projects with high levels of risk to be managed, and activities requiring other council decision making or oversight. So it's very much around part of the annual plan projects that you have on the box. Some of them are more mechanical in the sense that they don't come back to council on a regular basis. These are the ones that you do touch base with a lot throughout the year.
I was particularly interested, Mr Chairman, in that second bullet point, projects with high political interest, as to what you mean by that. Do you mean community interest or local elected representative interest?
Both, actually.
Both.
Yes. I don't think it would be easy to actually make a clear-cut distinction between those. So it follows a bit like your significance policy.
Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Fagan moved. I will second it happily. All in favour?
Aye.
So carried.